It was 9:47 p.m. when Marcus Johnson kissed his 7-year-old daughter, Amara, goodnight. "One more story, Daddy?" she pleaded, her brown eyes wide and hopeful, clutching her favorite stuffed elephant. Marcus smiled, exhausted but unable to resist. "One more. But then it's really bedtime, Princess." He settled onto the edge of her bed, the springs creaking under his weight, and opened the worn copy of Where the Wild Things Are, the same book his mother had read to him 35 years ago. Downstairs, Angela was cleaning up the dinner dishes, the familiar clatter of plates and running water creating a soundtrack of home. Isaiah was in his room, headphones on, working on algebra homework between checking his phone, the typical routine of a 15-year-old trying to balance school and social life. You're watching the Fiend Files. If you love gripping stories, twisted secrets, and real-life drama, hit subscribe now. And tell me, where are you watching from? London, New York, Toronto, Chicago, Los Angeles, Houston, Miami, or anywhere across the world? This was the Johnson family, normal, ordinary, American. Marcus worked as a software engineer at a tech firm downtown. Angela was a middle school teacher. They paid their taxes. They voted in every election. They volunteered at their church. They'd lived in this modest 3-bedroom house in the Oak Hills neighborhood for 8 years. They were living the dream they'd worked so hard for, the American dream, until 10:17 p.m., until everything changed. Marcus had just closed Amara's door, leaving it open just a crack the way she liked it, when he heard Angela call from downstairs. "Marcus? Can you help me with something?" "Be right there." He was halfway down the stairs when he saw the red and blue lights flashing through the front windows, bright, disorienting, painting the walls in alternating colors like some twisted kaleidoscope. Police lights. His stomach dropped, not from guilt, he'd done nothing wrong, but from experience, from knowledge, from the weight of being a black man in America who understood that police presence didn't always mean protection. "What's going on?" Angela appeared in the hallway, dish towel still in her hands, her face tight with concern. "I don't know. Stay here. Let me check." Marcus approached the front door slowly, his heart rate climbing. Through the peephole, he could see officers, multiple officers, tactical gear, weapons drawn, SWAT. His blood turned to ice. "Angela," he called back, trying to keep his voice steady. "Get Isaiah and Amara. Take them upstairs, now." "Marcus, what? Now?" Something in his tone made her move without further question. Marcus took a deep breath and opened the door. Slowly, hands visible, no sudden movements. Every motion calculated, every gesture designed to communicate, "I'm not a threat." "Can I help you, officers?" 20 flashlights hit him at once, blinding him completely. He raised his hand to shield his eyes, immediately realizing his mistake as several officers tensed. "Hands where we can see them! Get on the ground! Down on the ground now!" Multiple voices, overlapping, aggressive, terrifying. "I live here," Marcus said, lowering himself carefully to his knees on his own porch. "This is my house. My family is inside. My children are inside. Face down! Hands behind your head!" Marcus complied, the rough wood of the porch scraping his cheek as he pressed against it. His mind was racing. What was happening? What had they done? What did they think he'd done? "Marcus Johnson?" a voice barked. "Yes, that's me. I'm Marcus Johnson. I live here." "You're under arrest for—" "There are children in this house," Marcus interrupted, his voice firm despite his position, despite the guns pointed at him, despite the terror flooding his system. "My 7-year-old daughter and 15-year-old son. Whatever you think is happening, you need to know there are children here." A pause. Brief. Tense. Then, "Clear the house! Go! Go! Go!" And Marcus could only lie there, helpless, as armed SWAT officers stormed into his home, into his sanctuary, into the place where his babies were sleeping. The sound of the door being smashed open would haunt Marcus for the rest of his life. The splintering of wood, the shouts of, "Police! Search warrant!" The thunder of boots on his hardwood floors he and Angela had refinished themselves 3 summers ago, and then the screaming, Angela's voice, high, terrified. "Don't hurt them! Please don't hurt my babies!" Amara crying. That particular pitch of childhood terror that no parent should ever have to hear. Isaiah yelling, "We didn't do anything! We didn't do anything!" Marcus tried to lift his head, got a boot on his back for the effort. "Stay down!" "Please," Marcus begged, all pride abandoned. "Please, my daughter is 7 years old. She's terrified. Please let me talk to her. Let me tell her it's okay." But nothing was okay. Inside, Angela had grabbed both children the moment she heard the commotion. She'd pulled them into the master bedroom, Isaiah shielding his little sister, when the officers burst through the door. 5 men, tactical gear, rifles, pointed at a teacher, a teenager, and a 2nd grader in princess pajamas. "Hands up! Get your hands up!" "They're up! They're up!" Angela's voice cracked. Amara was sobbing into Isaiah's chest, her small body shaking uncontrollably. "Please!" Angela said, fighting to keep her voice steady for her children. "Please, you're scaring my daughter. Whatever you're looking for, we'll cooperate. Just please, lower your weapons. She's 7 years old." One officer, his name tag read Thornton, seemed to actually see them for the first time. See Amara's princess pajamas, her stuffed elephant fallen on the floor, the Disney posters on the walls. He lowered his weapon slightly. "Ma'am, we have a warrant for this address. We're looking for Marcus Johnson." "That's my husband. He's outside, I think. You already have him." "We need to search the premises." "Then search," Angela said, her voice gaining strength despite her terror. "But let me take my children downstairs. Let me hold my daughter. She's traumatized. Can't you see she's traumatized?" Thornton looked at Amara, really looked at her, and something in his expression shifted, softened, just slightly. "Ma'am, I need you to take your children and sit in the living room. Keep your hands visible. Do not make any sudden movements. Do you understand?" "Yes, thank you. Thank you." Angela gathered her children, Amara clinging to her like a life raft, Isaiah's jaw clenched tight, holding back tears through sheer force of will, and led them downstairs, past officers tearing through their home, through rooms being turned upside down, over drawers dumped on floors, through photo albums scattered, past their life being treated like a crime scene. In the living room, they sat on the couch, the same couch where they'd watched movies every Friday night, where Marcus had fallen asleep during Sunday afternoon football games, where Amara practiced reading her school books. Now it was surrounded by armed officers treating them like criminals. "Mommy, what did Daddy do?" Amara whispered, her voice hoarse from crying. "Nothing, baby. Daddy didn't do anything." "Then why are they here? Why are they being mean?" Angela had no answer, just held her daughter tighter and prayed this nightmare would end. Isaiah sat rigid beside them, his young face aged by fear and confusion and rage. "This is wrong," he said quietly. "This is so wrong. Isaiah, don't—" "No, Mom, this is wrong. We didn't do anything. None of us did anything. And they came in here like we're... He couldn't finish. Didn't need to. They all knew what he meant. Like we're criminals. Like we're dangerous. Like we're not human. Outside, Marcus was finally allowed to sit up, handcuffed, on his own porch, watching neighbors gather on the street, phones out, filming, whispering to each other. Officer Thornton emerged from the house, his expression troubled. "Mr. Johnson, I need to ask you some questions. Am I under arrest?" "We have a warrant." "That's not what I asked. Am I under arrest? What am I being charged with?" Thornton pulled out a paper, read from it. We have a warrant for the arrest of Marcus Anthony Johnson, age 42, black male, wanted in connection with drug trafficking, weapons charges, and assault. Marcus felt the world tilt. I'm Marcus Elijah Johnson, not Anthony, and I'm a software engineer. I've never been arrested for anything in my life. I don't even have a speeding ticket. Thornton's face went pale. What? Check my ID. It's in my wallet. Back pocket. Check it. Thornton carefully retrieved the wallet, opened it, looked at the driver's license, and cursed under his breath. What's the address on your warrant? Marcus asked, his voice deadly calm. Thornton looked down at the paper. His face went from pale to gray. This is 847 Oakmont Drive, Marcus said. What does your warrant say? 847 Oakwood Drive. Different street, different house, different Marcus Johnson. The silence that followed was deafening. The realization hit the scene like a physical force. Wrong address, wrong man, wrong family. Officer Thornton immediately called his supervisor. Within minutes, more officers arrived. These ones in suits, not tactical gear. Internal affairs, damage control. Marcus was uncuffed, finally. His wrists were raw, bruised from where the metal had bit into his skin. Mr. Johnson, I apologize, Thornton said, the words clearly difficult for him. This was an administrative error. The address is... An administrative error? Marcus's voice was quiet, dangerous. You terrorized my family over an administrative error? My 7-year-old daughter is inside right now, traumatized, thinking her father is a criminal because you couldn't read an address correctly? Sir, I understand you're upset. Upset? Marcus laughed, a harsh, broken sound. Upset is when someone cuts me off in traffic. This is... He couldn't even find words. A man in a suit approached. Mr. Johnson, I'm Captain Reynolds. I want to personally apologize for what happened here tonight. This was a serious mistake, and we take full responsibility. Do you? Marcus stood, his 6'2" frame suddenly commanding despite his disheveled appearance. Do you take responsibility for my daughter's nightmares? For my son's loss of faith in a system that's supposed to protect him? For my wife's terror? For the fact that my neighbors now think I'm a drug dealer? Reynolds had no answer. I want to see my family. Now. Of course. The search has been concluded. Your family is waiting inside. Marcus walked back into his home, his violated, destroyed home, to find Angela sitting on the couch with both children still clutched against her. Amara saw him and broke free, running to him with a wail. Daddy! He scooped her up, holding her so tight she squeaked in protest. Isaiah and Angela joined them, the four of them clinging to each other in the wreckage of their living room. I'm okay, Marcus whispered, over and over. I'm okay. We're all okay. But they weren't okay. Not really. Not anymore. The police left, finally, taking their warrant and their weapons and their apologies that meant nothing. Captain Reynolds assured them the department would conduct a full investigation and implement new protocols to prevent this from happening again. Marcus said nothing, just closed the door behind them and locked it, though locks clearly meant nothing when the police had the wrong address. The house was destroyed, drawers overturned, closets emptied, mattresses lifted, books pulled from shelves, their privacy invaded, their sanctuary violated. Angela walked through the rooms in a daze, picking up scattered photos with shaking hands. Isaiah sat on the stairs, head in his hands, silent. And Amara refused to let go of Marcus. Wrapped around him like a baby monkey, face buried in his neck, still trembling. Can you call your mom? Angela asked Marcus quietly. Ask if she can watch the kids tomorrow? I need to. I don't know what I need, but I can't. Her voice broke, tears finally coming. Marcus nodded, pulling out his phone with one hand while still holding Amara with the other. But first, he took photos. of everything. The broken door, the ransacked rooms, the scattered belongings, evidence, documentation. Because he knew how these things went. He knew that without proof, their story would be questioned, doubted, dismissed. He knew that administrative error would become the official narrative and their trauma would be minimized. He knew that being right, being innocent, being the victim wouldn't protect them. Nothing could protect them. That was the lesson tonight had taught him. Marcus didn't sleep that night. Neither did Angela. They lay in their bed, the same bed that had been torn apart by strangers. The same room that had been invaded, the same space that would never feel safe again. "We're leaving," Angela whispered into the darkness. "I can't. We can't stay here, Marcus. Every time I close my eyes, I see guns pointed at my children. We can't let them drive us out of our home. This isn't our home anymore. Not after tonight. It's just a house where something terrible happened." Marcus had no argument, because she was right. Around 3 a.m., he got up and went to check on the kids. Isaiah was awake, staring at his ceiling, earbuds in, but no music playing. "Can't sleep?" Marcus asked from the doorway. "Nope." "Want to talk about it?" Isaiah sat up, and Marcus was struck by how old his son looked, how much childhood had been stolen in a single night. "I did everything right, Dad," Isaiah said, his voice thick. "I kept my hands up, I didn't move. I protected Amara. I was respectful. I did everything you and Mom always told me to do if police ever stopped me. And it didn't matter." "Isaiah, no, listen. It didn't matter. Because they didn't care that we were innocent. They didn't care that we lived here. They treated us like we were nothing. Like we were guilty just by existing." Marcus sat on the edge of his son's bed, the same way he'd sat on Amara's bed just hours ago, reading her a bedtime story in a world that still made sense. "You're right," he said quietly. "You did everything right. And it should have mattered. It should have protected you. But the system is broken, Isaiah. And I'm so sorry you had to learn that this way. What are we going to do?" "I don't know yet, but we're going to do something. We're not going to let this just disappear. We're not going to let them sweep this under the rug." "Will anything actually change, though? Or will they just apologize and move on?" Marcus wished he had a better answer. "I don't know, but we have to try." The next morning, Marcus contacted the ACLU. Then a civil rights attorney named David Nakamura, recommended by a colleague who'd dealt with police misconduct in his own family. David came to their home, their destroyed home, that afternoon. He listened to their story, looked at Marcus's photos, took notes. His expression grew darker with each detail. "This is egregious," he said finally. "The wrong address is bad enough, but the level of force used against a family with young children, without verifying the occupants first? This violates multiple protocols." "Can we sue?" Angela asked. "Absolutely, and you should. Not just for your family, but for every family this could happen to in the future." "We're not looking to get rich," Marcus clarified. "We just want accountability. We want them to admit this was wrong. We want changes made so no other family goes through this." David nodded. "That's exactly the right approach. But I need to be honest with you. Cases like this are difficult. The police have qualified immunity. The department will fight this. It could take years. It will be expensive, emotionally draining, and there are no guarantees." "But there's a chance?" Angela asked. "A chance that something good could come from this nightmare?" "Yes, there's a chance." Marcus and Angela looked at each other. A silent conversation happening in that glance, years of marriage allowing them to communicate without words. Then, together, "Let's do it." The local news picked up the story within days. Family traumatized in wrong address SWAT raid. Administrative error leads to armed police storming innocent families' home. Black family demands accountability after violent raid. The Johnsons' story spread. Social media amplified it. Civil rights organizations rallied around them, but so did the backlash. They should be grateful no one got hurt. Police have tough jobs. Mistakes happen. If they weren't doing anything wrong, they have nothing to worry about. Marcus read the comments, against David's advice, and felt his anger crystallize into determination. These people didn't understand, couldn't understand, wouldn't understand. Because they'd never had to explain to their 7-year-old why armed men broke into her house. They'd never watched their teenager lose faith in justice. They'd never felt the terror of being treated like a criminal in your own home. They'd never lived with the knowledge that your skin color made you guilty until proven innocent. Detective Patricia Williams from Internal Affairs interviewed the family as part of the official investigation. She was thorough, professional, and, Marcus sensed, genuinely troubled by what had happened. "I want you to know," she said after taking their statements, "that this never should have happened. The protocols exist for a reason. Someone failed to follow them, and your family paid the price." "Will anyone be held accountable?" Angela asked. Williams hesitated. "That's complicated. The investigation is ongoing." "That means no," Isaiah said flatly from his seat in the corner. "That means they'll get a slap on the wrist and we'll be told to move on." Williams looked at the teenager, and Marcus saw recognition in her eyes, recognition and sadness. "I can't promise you justice," she said quietly. "The system it's not perfect. But I can promise you that I will do everything in my power to ensure this is documented, that the truth is recorded, that what happened to you matters." "Does it, though?" Isaiah challenged. "Does it really matter? Or will it just be another story? Another hashtag? Another family that people feel bad about for a week before forgetting and moving on?" Williams had no answer, because they all knew he might be right. 6 months later, the Johnson family sat in attorney David Nakamura's office, listening to the settlement offer from the city. $300,000, an official apology, mandatory retraining for the SWAT team, updated address verification protocols. "It's not enough," Angela said immediately. "It never is," David agreed. "But it's more than most families get. And the policy changes, those could prevent this from happening to others." Marcus stared at the paper in front of him. A number. As if their trauma could be quantified. As if money could erase Amara's nightmares. As if a check could restore Isaiah's faith. "What about the officers?" he asked. "What happens to them?" David's expression said everything. "Administrative leave, retraining, no criminal charges, no one loses their job." Marcus nodded slowly. He'd expected this. Prepared for it, but it still hurt. "We take the settlement," he said finally. "We take the money and the policy changes, and then we use the money to keep fighting." Angela reached for his hand. "What do you mean?" "I mean we start a foundation. We help other families navigate this system. We fund legal representation for people who can't afford it. We turn our pain into purpose." He looked at his wife, his partner, his best friend. "We can't get back what was taken from us that night, but maybe we can prevent it from being taken from someone else." The Johnson Family Justice Foundation launched 1 year after the raid. They worked with civil rights attorneys. They provided resources for families facing police misconduct. They advocated for policy changes at the local and state level. They turned their tragedy into a mission. Amara still had nightmares sometimes, still got anxious when she saw police cars. But she was healing, slowly, with therapy and time and the unwavering love of her family. Isaiah channeled his anger into activism. He spoke at schools about civil rights. He educated his peers. He refused to let his trauma make him bitter, instead, letting it make him brave. Angela returned to teaching, but with a new purpose. She taught her students about their rights, about how to stay safe during police encounters, about the importance of speaking truth to power. And Marcus carried the weight of that night with him every day. The helplessness, the fear, the rage. But he also carried something else. Hope. Hope that things could change, that systems could be reformed. That justice, true justice, was possible if people refused to give up fighting for it. 2 years after the raid, Marcus stood at a city council meeting, addressing a room full of officials and citizens about proposed police reform legislation. On the night of September 15th, he began, his voice steady despite the emotions swirling inside him. My family's life changed forever. Not because we committed a crime, not because we were dangerous, but because someone made a mistake. An administrative error, they called it. He paused, letting the words sink in. But it wasn't just an error. It was a symptom of a larger problem. A system that allows armed officers to storm into homes without proper verification. A system that treats certain communities as guilty until proven innocent. A system that traumatizes families and then expects them to just get over it. He saw nods in the audience, heard murmurs of agreement. My daughter was 7 years old. She had guns pointed at her in her princess pajamas while holding a stuffed elephant. My son was 15. He learned that doing everything right, that being respectful, compliant, innocent, meant nothing if you looked like him. His voice grew stronger. We survived. We're here. We're fighting. But how many families don't survive? How many families don't have the resources to fight back? How many stories never get told because no one's listening? He looked directly at the council members. You have the power to change this, to implement reforms that prioritize human life over aggressive tactics, to require proper address verification, to mandate de-escalation training, to hold officers accountable when they make mistakes that destroy innocent lives. You have the power. The question is, will you use it? The legislation passed. Not everything they'd hoped for, but more than they dared to dream. Address verification protocols, body cameras, community oversight committees, de-escalation requirements, small victories, but victories nonetheless. That night, the Johnson family, all 4 of them, sat around their dinner table. A new table, in a new house, in a new neighborhood. They'd left Oakmont Drive, too many ghosts, too many memories. But they'd carried the important things with them. Their love, their strength, their commitment to each other and to justice. I'm proud of you, Daddy, Amara said suddenly, looking up from her spaghetti. You made the bad rules better. Marcus's throat tightened. We all did, Princess. As a family. Will other kids be safe now? She asked, her voice small but hopeful. Safer, Marcus said carefully. Not perfectly safe, but safer. And we'll keep working to make it better. Isaiah raised his glass of water. To making it better. Angela raised hers. To not giving up. Marcus raised his. To family, to justice, to hope. Amara raised her juice box. To no more scary nights. They clinked glasses and juice boxes, a family that had been broken and had rebuilt themselves stronger. Later that night, Marcus stood in Amara's new bedroom, decorated with the same princess posters, the same stuffed animals, the same nightlight casting soft shadows on the walls. Daddy, she whispered as he tucked her in. Will the bad men come back? He wanted to lie, to tell her she was perfectly safe, to promise that nothing would ever frighten her again. But he'd learned something over the past 2 years. Children need truth, age-appropriate, gentle truth. But truth nonetheless. You're safe here, baby girl, he said, and Mommy and Daddy will always protect you. But more importantly, We're working to change the rules so those scary things don't happen to any kids. Not just you. All kids. That's good, she said, her eyes already drooping. All kids should be safe. Yes, they should. He kissed her forehead, breathed in the scent of her strawberry shampoo, and whispered the same prayer he'd whispered every night since September 15th. Please let her grow up in a better world than this one. As he left her room, door cracked just the way she liked it, he heard Angela's voice from downstairs. She was on the phone with another family, another wrong address raid, another traumatized child, another fight for justice beginning. Marcus headed downstairs to join her, because this was their life now, their mission, their purpose. Wrong house, wrong man, wrong system, but the right family to fight back. And they would keep fighting, for Amara, for Isaiah, for every family that came after them, until the day when administrative errors didn't cost innocent people their sense of safety, until the day when being black in your own home wasn't treated as probable cause, until the day when justice actually meant justice for everyone. That day hadn't arrived yet, but Marcus Johnson, software engineer, father, husband, activist, would work every day to bring it closer. One policy change at a time, one family helped at a time, one story told at a time, because silence was complicity, and the Johnson family refused to be silent. Thank you for watching the Fiend Files. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on your notifications, and drop your location in the comments. London, New York, Toronto, Chicago, Los Angeles, Miami, wherever you are in the world, I appreciate you.